There we are. Sorted. So I'm going to talk to you about 7 unconventional ways to lose weight. Balance hormones, increase energy, and sleep better without any funky stuff that you're familiar with, like supplements, shakes, crazy diets, and exercise. And so before I start, I think some of you know me as a yoga teacher and a studio owner. But I'd like to kind of tell you a bit briefly about who I am and why I think I can talk about these things. So you can see me now on 2 pictures. So my health journey started when I was born. I was born premature and spent the first few months of my life in hospital. And so as the result of that, I was exposed to lots of treatments with medications. And by the age of 5, I got a diagnosis of myocardial dystrophy. So my heart was wasting itself away. Nobody knew why. I think now it's kind of obvious it was because of all the meds that were given to me. By the age of 8, I had bilateral lobular pneumonia, which pretty much nearly killed me, but it didn't. And then essentially what it resulted in, I was told I can't really strain myself, so I can't exercise. So that kind of translated into, in my teens, going through a phase of like trying various diets to lose weight, even though I wasn't really overweight, but I had a funky relationship with food. I was miserable, frequently depressed, and so later on decided that the way forward for me was to study psychology so I can figure out how my mind works. And so I went and did that, and it didn't help me. It didn't help me at all to feel better. So a friend took me to a yoga class. I can't see her on the call. She signed up for the call today, but she's not there. She took me to a yoga class, and I experienced something I haven't felt before. And so I got hooked on yoga. So I went and studied yoga, started to teach yoga, but my body didn't still quite function so well. So I went then and studied Chinese medicine, long story short, because it helped me in the process. And that kind of helped me. And so I was juggling with these 2 things, eventually marrying them together with structural integration, and more recently functional medicine. And so as I kind of worked in the field, I specialized in women's health. Initially it was reproductive health, and now it's kind of, I see more and more women going through the change, the menopause, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, and so on. And so one of the things that I see in clinic the most is women who are desperate. They come in and they go, I've tried everything, I've done this, I've done that, the weight is not going, it's my age, I'm doomed, all of those things that you're familiar with. And I know for a fact that it's not true. You're not doomed. Age is not... age is a number. It's true what they say, age is just a number. And so I'm here to share with you something that I see, I know, I use in practice. So this is what I do with my clients. I have case studies here as well. So this is what I do with my clients. Which works, and it's not something that's this week's diet. It's not this week's thing. It's something that's been true for probably thousands of years and will be true in another 100 years and hopefully another 1,000 years. So these are the kind of principles that, and the other thing is, I, because of my story, because of what happened to me, my belief, is that the doctor of the future is you. You are your own doctor. The body can heal given the right conditions. It's just sometimes you need to give the right conditions to the body to get there. And we don't always know what they are. So I am all for empowerment. So I'm not the type of person who gives you something that you have to depend on. Like, or I'll sell you this pill and then you have to come back to me to buy the same pill. It's more like I give you skills rather than pills, and then you can go away and you can help yourself as you go. So this is what this talk is about, as well as obviously I can show you the program that I offer to my clients. And it may be of interest to it, maybe not, but there's plenty of information here, not just information, actually practical tools that you can use. So I'm going to start by covering why most weight programs or weight loss programs fail. So the obvious one, that's the one why we're here, they focus on diet and exercise only. I'm not saying that diet and exercise are not important, but they have to be done right, and they're not the only thing. So if you only focus on diet and exercise, I'm sure many of you know, it's going to eventually fail, and you have to go on the repeat over and over and over again. Most diets don't reset hormonal cascade, so that's an interesting one. Hopefully I'll cover as much as I'm able to. I have women who come into clinic and they say, I went to the doctor and they said it's my hormones. And I go, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Well, what that actually means is the doctor doesn't really know what to do with you. And they say, well, yeah, you're that age, you're going through that change, so ho-hum, and hormones are not, so sometimes you'll get, people come to me and say, my thyroid hormone is down, or my estrogen is up, or it's down, and it makes it sound like it's a seesaw, but your body, your biochemistry, what happens in your body is not a seesaw, it's a merry-go-round, it's all cycles. So if you're only playing with like, I need to raise this up and drop this down, it never really works. And yet all of the cycles are, as we'll see later on, all of the cycles are tied in to one single cycle that you can fix. You can fix without having to, you don't have to spend a penny actually to fix it if you really wanted to. Also, the programs do not consider subconscious mind and or mindset. Some of them do, some of them don't. Most things kind of go through, if you just say something, it will happen. So we'll cover that as well. Again, the focus is too much on weight. Yeah, everybody's concerned about the number on the scales. I've had people who cried because the number on the scales didn't change, even though their health has transformed significantly. Their mood has changed and many other things have changed. What is weight? What is weight? What is extra weight? Yes, it's extra inflammation. Yes, it's, it's extra blood vessels, that your heart has to work harder. Yes, it's extra dress size, for sure, that makes you feel horrible. But for me, extra weight, like I look at extra weight as this extra energy. It's extra energy that your body has forgotten. It's forgotten about it, tucked it away, and now it doesn't know how to use it. It's like, it's there. And for me, it's your potential, right? It's your potential that you're holding on to. You can spend that energy building new business. You can spend that energy playing with your kids, your grandkids, whatever you need energy for. And usually people who come in with extra weight, they're like, I am tired. I have no energy. So like, how do you work with the body that the body starts to free up this energy that you can use it? How do you free up your own potential? And most weight loss programs don't increase resilience and tolerance. So, if you, as somebody who's done quite a few diets, it's mostly a struggle. You're pushing against, because you're working against the body. It's basically a torture you're waiting to end. Not all of them, granted, but I haven't found many that that actually increase resilience and tolerance of change. They make you basically this expression, fallen off the wagon, gotten back on the wagon, it's there for a reason. So, because we fall off the wagon so many times. And then, so most of the weight loss programs designed as means to an end, not as a lifestyle. So if it's not a lifestyle, it's not going to stick. If it's not something that comes naturally to you, it's not going to stick. You're constantly going to yo-yo. And my goal to try to convince you that there are easy ways to make something your lifestyle, then it's effortless and you don't have to think about it as weight loss. And then obviously no accountability. Accountability is a big one. And again, I'll talk about it later. but for most part, it's appearing in programs, accountability, but that's one of the things that I find most significant with sticking with changes that you're implementing. So, without further ado, the 7-pillar approach to weight loss that I use with my clients, here it is. The 7 points: so autonomic pairing, balanced hormones, joyful movement, loving awareness, the feeding window, community, and rest and recovery. Okay, and so we'll start with the first one. Also the word of warning. So the 2 possible responses you can have to, there are more than 2 responses, but you may have 2 possible responses to some of the things that I'm saying. So number 1 is, I know this. Like, oh, I knew this, So my attitude towards that is, unless you're using it, unless you applied something, unless you're practicing something, you don't know it. So if you only intellectually knowing it, you don't know it. Yeah, so you only know what you use. And the second possible response you may have, I don't believe this. Yeah, I don't believe what you're saying. And it's kind of the same response for me, so that's okay. You can believe or don't believe it, but until you try it, there is no real experience. So technically you have no judgment. So you kind of have to trust. I think you'll agree with most of the things that I'm saying. Some of them may be new to you, but let's have a look. So the autonomic pairing. Okay, so I think like the instant response is, what the hell is autonomic pairing? So autonomic pairing is when we pair whatever activity or goal we want to achieve with the right state of our nervous system. Okay, so, if you want to go to sleep, the goal of your activity is to go and sleep, your nervous system wants to be in a state where it's ready for sleep. Okay, logical. So, and your nervous system can only ever be in 2 states. So your entire physiology can only ever be in 2 states. So it can either be, even if you can't see the slide very well, I think like everybody knows this. You can either be in rest and digest mode or fight or flight. You can never be in 2 at the same time. Agreed? So, we talk a lot about food, right? What we eat, like, well, you have to eat this and you shouldn't eat that. But how many of you think about who and how you are being when you're eating? You can type in the chat box how many of you, when you sit down to eat, you actually go, okay, is my body in the right state to receive the food? Yeah, I'll be honest, I say that, for a large portion of my life, it was like, it's a secondary thing. Like 5 minutes, 15 minutes for lunch break or 20 minutes for lunch break, right? Crazy things. Eating on the move. So really, if you want your body to digest food or really shift, absorb, assimilate, the food becomes part of you. It becomes building blocks of your body. So it's your cells, tissues, everything. So when you're eating it, it needs to be assimilated, and the digestive tract is mouth to anus. It's not just like what's fallen in your intestines randomly somehow. So it's really, if you consider what happens in a stress response, right? In a stress response, your body shuts down all essential functions, literally. So if you think about functions, you think about blood flow. Wherever blood flow goes, function follows. And during stress response, the blood flow, for example, to your kidneys and your liver reduces to 5% from 50. So normally it's 50% blood flow to liver and kidneys, and during the stress response is 5%. Do you think that system is capable distributing, even if by some miracle you manage to assimilate the food? Is there any possibility that it's going to be evenly distributed or even distributed at all? No. So the survival, fight and flight system is there for a reason. The story about the tiger. If a tiger or lion walks into a room, you start to run before you even think about it. There is beauty to it. You need it. but we all live in a stress response. Without running from a tiger, we had 5 cups of coffee and sitting in front of the computer, for example, right? Or you're running around with your kids getting ready for school, eating on the move. Same. So autonomic pairing is a process of taking time to reset your system and putting it into that rest and digest and repair and restore and revive and reproduce, regenerate state. So that rest and digest side is governed by the vagus nerve. I think everybody probably heard of the vagus nerve, the 10th cranial nerve. What happens in Vegas doesn't stay there. Everybody knows that joke. So it's the longest nerve in the body, and it basically connects the brain to your heart, your gut, and actually the rest of your system. So you want to shift into that state. And it's all of the things that you probably already doing, like breathing, meditation, relaxation. Your breathing, for example, mindful, deep breathing will reset your system in 7 minutes. So you only need 7 minutes of deep breathing, deep mindful breathing, to shift yourself into this, what we call parasympathetic mode. How many of you can type in a box, how many of you feel better when you go on holiday? How many of you feel better when you go on holiday? 100%, yeah, exactly. And I bet you don't feel better on holiday because you dieting on holiday or counting calories on holiday, right? You feel better, and some people even say they can lose weight whilst on holiday, or at least not put on weight whilst on holiday, because you are going more into more rest and digest state. So, surprise, surprise, your body does not prioritize weight loss when you're stressed. Boom. It doesn't do it. So the activities you want to, this is the primary goal of when I work with clients, resetting their metabolism and making them lose weight, or helping them. And we don't even talk about losing weight, we're talking about releasing weight. Actually, that's the right word, releasing. So you're releasing that potential, right? The primary goal is to get you into parasympathetic mode. So get you into that rest and digest state. But we tend to underestimate the stress levels we are under. So most people I meet will only think of stress as something that they perceived as stressful. So it's only what people think, well, I don't feel stressed. It's become so normal to you, like classically teachers who come for treatment, or social workers is the other one. Immensely stressed, but they don't feel it anymore. So perceived stress is only a quarter of all the stress the body sees as stress. So the things that your body sees as stressful, as well as your job pressure, your relationship pressure, etc. Circadian cycle disruption is basically when you're not sleeping well. So if you have less than 7 hours sleep a night, it's stress for the body. Glycemic dysregulation means your blood sugar is all over the place. That's also stressful for the body, so body sees it as stress. If you're not sure whether your blood sugar is all over the place, ask yourself 2 questions. Do I feel hangry, as in angry, when food is delayed? Do you feel irritable when the food is delayed? And do you get a slump after you've eaten? Like almost instantly, or like half an hour after, do you get a slump? And if the answer is yes to one of those, then your blood sugar needs some attention. So that's also stress to the body, right? And inflammation is stress to the body. So extra weight is already inflammation, so the body is already under stress. Yeah, it becomes a bit of a catch-22. If you have any inflammatory conditions like arthritis, for example, if you have a chronic infection, if you have an autoimmune condition, that's also stress for the body. So my point is not so much that to say, well, you're doomed, that's too much stress. the point here is that you can see how things are a bit more compounding than just what you see as stressful. Okay? And does anybody know how, so if I can't sense my stress levels, well, I can sort of sense my stress levels, but if I can't measure them, does anybody know what the objective measurement of stress can be or is? Do you know what the measurement for, so objective measurement for stress? Let me see, I have to click on my chat box. So there is a yes, so that was for holiday, I believe. Yeah, so does anybody know what measures stress in the body? No. But I mean like as an actual, like not a subjective experience, but actual. Okay, so I'll take it as a no. Good. So I get to tell you something new. Exciting. So heart rate variability measures your stress levels. HRV. Okay, so HRV short, heart rate variability. So what heart rate variability is essentially measurement of spaces between each heartbeat, right? And I'm not going to ask the question because it's awkward for me to see in the chat, but you can ask yourself, do you think low HRV is good or bad? You can kind of like brainstorm. So low HRV means there is very small variability between heartbeats. So they are consistent. They go like boom, 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 boom. And it's a sign of stress. So when do you need a consistent heart rate? You need it when you're running away from a tiger, or even it's an imaginary one. So low HRV means high stress. High HRV means low stress. Okay? And so there are ways to measure HRV and there are ways to change HRV. And so one of the things that I use directly with, I need to change again, sorry. So on the program that I use with clients, we use HeartMath. So HeartMath is it's got about 25 years of research behind it. It's not a very expensive device, in my opinion, for what you get. It basically it measures coherence, what they call heart coherence. So you want your heart, your brain, and overall your emotions to be in coherent state. And it's achieved by measuring your heart rate variability in that moment and then asking you to breathe in a specific way to stabilize or find coherence. Right, so it's a little thing. I have one. You just clip one end on earlobe and one end near your heart, and then you have a little app. So there are different techniques to achieve this, but there's basically very simple breathing techniques. So HeartMath is what I use with clients to retrain. So retrain your stress response and how to bring yourself back out of it. It doesn't mean that you can only do that with HeartMath. Of course, you can keep on doing all the things that you're doing with breathing. And the other device that I don't use on the programs, but people can use if they choose to. There you go. My husband kindly brought HeartMath device. So is that this tiny little thing? Yeah. So this end clips on the on your chest, and the other end goes on your ear. And then you have an app on the phone. And you just, so these I use with clients. And then Oura Ring, OURA, not as an Aura, like with an A. So Oura Ring measures your HRV. So I use Oura. I've been using Oura Ring for about 4 years now. It's my go-to wearable, but there are others, so I'm not trying to sell you anything at all. And I'm not affiliate of Oura. But it can measure your HRV whilst you're sleeping. So it's a objective measurement of your stress levels. In other words, it will tell you exactly where you're at, even when you are convinced you're doing fine. And so, autonomic pairing is a process of actually essentially noticing when you are not in a state for the activity that you want to perform. It's okay for you to go for a run or exercise when you're stressed, right? So your nervous system is ready to run, but it's not okay when you're trying to eat your food. And so the thing that I teach people as a practical skills with regards to food, these 5 C's. Okay, so choose, chew, chill, cherish, and check. The choose part is, choosing what you're going to be eating. So if you are in a state where when you just came out of a stressful meeting, do you think you're going to choose the food wisely? For yourself? Probably not. So if you take a few moments and take a few breaths and then consider that, do you really want what you're about to eat to become part of your structure? For me, it was really insightful thing, like, and what is it that I really want? Sometimes sweet cravings is an interesting one. Like, maybe I don't really want sugar, but what I really want is some sweetness in my life. I want some sweetness in my life and I don't get it. So how do I get that sweetness? But choose. So choosing, being mindful when you're choosing your food. Chewing, right? 20 to 30 chews per bite. That's what we tell the clients. How many chews do you do per bite? I would say for me, for a long time, I'll be honest, it was 20, 30 chews per meal. Yeah, on the go. Yeah, it didn't matter. And you chew faster when you're stressed. An interesting fact as well, if you in a fight or flight response, you don't produce saliva. The saliva secretion slows down or stops, so you get dry mouth. And saliva is the only thing that we have as humans to break down cellulose in vegetables. So we have no capacity, we're not cows, we can't break down cellulose. And we need the enzyme cellulase, and it's only made in your saliva. Only your saliva can break down cellulose. And so, imagine you, even with healthy eating, you're trying to eat all of those vegetables, but you're not producing any saliva to chew them properly, to make all of the enzymes. Your stomach doesn't have teeth, so you have to chew your food. People resort to shakes. People drink lots of shakes. Please don't. Digestion process starts with you seeing, smelling, and then essentially chewing your food. Chewing is essential for your stomach to receive that food as food. It does not receive food when it's in a liquid form. So if you're suffering with bloating, not digesting your food, do not resort to shakes. Learn to chew, learn to relax, prepare your food, smell your food. It sounds obvious, but here we are. Chill is self-explanatory. You want to chill before and after you've eaten, if you can. Cherish, so gratitude for your food. I think, again, so overlooked. And finally, check is very difficult for Brits, I find. So check your stool, because it's not just what you eat, it's also what you digest, but also what you eliminate. How are you eliminating what you're eating? And you can tell a lot about your digestion by what's coming out at the other end. So there's a Bristol stool chart. You can Google it. I decided that would be too much to to put it here. So you want a number 4, not a number 2 on the Bristol stool chart. So if you check it out, it'll give you a good idea of how you're doing digesting your food. And that will be maybe start of a good journey with how you're eating. Okay, so this is one of my clients. I share this with permission, all of them. I just didn't put any names for their benefit. So this is Erica. Erica is 44. She came to me with ME, so chronic fatigue, suffering terribly with anxiety. She's mom of 3. She's a homemaker. Great deal of stress. So that was the main thing, great deal of stress. And so we put her on metabolic reset. And this is the result 3 weeks in. So that's her messages. I went to a funeral on Friday and got loads of compliments, not complaints, of how well I looked. Yesterday at Costco, a female employee asked what was different about me. I pointed out the eyebrows. She had her eyebrows down at the time. When another employee came over, and both said how much weight I lost and I look younger. I left with a big smile. And this is the second messages from her recently. For the past week, I've been doing cold bath and in the garden, cold shower every morning, yoga, plus breathing. You know, that's her own choice. That's what she's kind of chosen to do. I feel great and scoring in the 90s for sleep and readiness on the Aura Ring. That's something that she decided to invest in of her own accord. So see you in a couple of weeks. So she's extremely happy. She's completely, obviously she's not chronically fatigued anymore. So this is one of my, as I said, one of my clients, just reducing stress. One of the comments that she made was that she was doing this over Christmas, I believe. And I think there was this interesting shift where, so we do a release phase and then we do a maintenance phase on my program. And during the maintenance phase, she decided, well, you know, I'm going to go and eat what I used to eat, or how I used to eat and how I used to be. And she commented how much it affected her emotions, right? So she was back to feeling anxious and more wired. So anyway, that's just one example. So number 2, we've got 7 to get through somehow. Balancing hormones. Okay, balancing hormones. Here we go. My favorite. So I'm sure you've noticed that not everybody gains weight in the same way. And to a trained eye, more or less trained eye or trained ear as well. So when you listen to people describe their pattern of weight gain, you can roughly identify, of course you'll take the full history, but you can roughly identify what's going on for them in terms of hormones. So you can look at the picture and kind of earmark where you think you are, if anywhere. Okay, so the adrenal, what we call the adrenal body type. Excess cortisol, what we mean by that is essentially excess stress. It starts as excess cortisol production, but eventually can become low cortisol production, but the result is the same. So you get fatigue. These are just some of the symptoms that you may experience, like fatigue, insomnia, red cheeks, anxiety, weak or brittle bones, round face, pendulous abdomen. So the weight gain is primarily around the middle. This midriff tire, kind of abdominal gain, but it's soft. It's soft weight, so these kind of folds, etc., 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 like brain fog, moodiness, irritability, autoimmune conditions, and so on. So this is the adrenal body type, so that's primarily driven by excess stress, too much stress. And then we've got the ovarian body type. So again, excess estrogen in menstruating females, so in those who still have cycles, but post cycle, so during and after menopause, it can also be still the case. So this is primarily weight gain around hips, thighs, and buttocks. And you'll have history, so you can think back to the history of the periods that you've had if you've gone through menopause, for example. So all of those symptoms apply: history of PMS, ovarian cysts, cyclic fatigue, cyclic brain fog, excessive menstrual bleeding, cyclic acne, vaginal dryness, night sweats, hot flushes, etc. Okay, so you'll have all of this. As I said, it's recorded, so if I'm going at the speed of light, you can catch up with that. Thyroid body type, so usually low thyroid hormone. In fact, that's kind of, unless somebody is autoimmune, they can swing between low and high, but this is specifically low thyroid hormone. So fatigue, so that's weight gain all over. So you'll have weight gain all over the body, more or less evenly. Fatigue, unexplained weight gain, cold intolerance, etc. I'm not going to read them on speed dial. And then liver body type. I'm not sure why specifically they put men, but I think maybe because men are more prone to it. It can be both men and women struggling with this. So you have this really hard pot belly. So we call it the bay window. From you have a spare tire in the middle, and this is the bay window. So you have pot belly, so brown spots on hands, bloodshot eyes, gallbladder problems, headaches, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, liver body type. Okay, so what type are you? Anybody braves to write what type you are? You don't have to, by the way. So somebody asked me about low HRV is good. No, low HRV is bad.
She was guessing, she wasn't asking.
Ah, so that was guess. Okay, sorry, Steph. Okay, not sure. It could be a blend of a few. So yeah, so you can have a blend of these types, right? And you'll have a blend of these types because hormones, essentially, you know, one way or another, your liver has to deal with your hormones. You can end up with a blend of these. And for example, thyroid and estrogen hormones are tied in together, especially for women. Let me just close this. Hey, sounds pretty familiar, says Tamsin. Yeah, I mean this. So it's just for you to kind of consider what may be going on, what may be going on. It's quite interesting. So I have to change screens again. This is gonna be fun. Sorry. Okay, so I think you know that hormones are chemical messengers in our body, so they regulate everything. A chronically imbalanced lifestyle creates imbalanced hormones. That's good news, not bad news, because all you have to do is actually change a few things, but they're perfectly within your control to balance your hormones. And that's what I was saying earlier, hormones fluctuate daily, monthly, and as we age. And if you understand, you know, if you spin like this merry-go-round, right? If you spin in tandem with the cycles, you know, cycles of nature and cycles of your life, you stay healthy. There's nothing out of balance. But if you get out of tandem, that's when problems start. So who knows what the two most important hormones to balance are? If you balance those two, you'll definitely balance forever your weight issues, but you will also balance the rest of hormones. So which are they? Anybody knows? Sorry, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't ask questions. Anybody knows which are the two most important hormones to balance? You can shake your head. Shake your head. Okay, so I'll tell you. And the answer is the two most important hormones, and I have to change my screen use again. Go back, back, please, back. How do I go back? There you go. Okay, cortisol and insulin. Okay, insulin and cortisol, and the good news
Steph got
is...
the right answer. Steph said...
Steph, so apparently Steph, so Chris tells me, he's my admin here, so Chris tells me Steph had the right answer. Top marks, well done. I don't have any prizes, but it's good to know that somebody knows. So the good news about cortisol and insulin is that if you balance one, you will most likely balance the other. So, but if you can balance both, even better. And in the circles, what you've got is really the influence of these hormones, the areas of influence, you know, and really the point was to show you that they have a huge influence across board. And the master regulator of all hormones, but especially of cortisol and insulin, is what we know as the HPA axis, which stands for hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And this is where you sit down, and if you heard of this before, you may think, hang on a second, isn't that the same pathway that gets activated when you're stressed? And the answer is yes. And the HPA axis is actually what regulates your sleep-waking cycle and regulates all of the hormones in your body. Cortisol is essential to life. Without cortisol, there is no life, essentially. So your adrenals producing cortisol is not just produced in the adrenals, it's also produced in other places. So That's kind of as a by the way. So not everything sits on adrenals, but this pathway. So think of the HPA axis as a main road. So you can think of M6, M5, M1, whatever is your favorite. And so it's a metabolic management system. So it anticipates your needs based on your waking, sleeping time. So it gets the cues from light. In the morning when you wake up, your eye's exposure to daylight sets a chain event where you release where cortisol spikes, or should do, within 15 minutes of your waking. And then it sets a chain of events whereby when cortisol goes up, blood sugar goes up and insulin goes down. So in the mornings, you naturally have this raised cortisol, raised blood sugar levels, and you don't want to be raising them any higher. And then that starts to, cortisol starts to decline throughout the day, right? So you can start to wind down. And that changes also how your insulin and how your blood sugar respond. So what I'm trying to say there, so what happens when you're stressed, this main road where traffic moves normally, right? It basically gets shut down for emergency vehicles. So your stress response rides on the same road as your normal metabolic traffic. And so chronic stress essentially will knock this sideways, right? So here we go again, how to balance your hormones, have to reduce your stress, get yourself into a parasympathetic mode of work. But also balancing your blood sugar. So balancing your blood sugar, we'll come to that in a little bit. So from actually watching what you eat, as in what you eat first. I've seen people with good intentions eating, for example, fruit and yogurt for breakfast, right? So that's sugar, blood sugar is going to go up, right? Once it's up, then the yo-yo begins. So it's considering what you eat first in your meals. So the general suggestion is you eat fiber. So fiber is a good thing to consume. So veg primarily, right? So balance your blood sugar levels and balance your sleep waking. And again, we'll come to that a bit later with importance of sleep. Yeah, so importance of sleep. You can literally sleep and lose weight. Not just sleep and lose weight, but you literally can improve your sleep and lose weight. Okay? And all of your hormones, all of your steroid hormones, so the ones that really you are interested in, like, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, etc., made from one substance. Their starting point is always one substance, pregnenolone. And pregnenolone is made in your adrenal glands, right? And so for women especially, what happens for women, so women have this, I hope I can explain this, I didn't draw this, but women have this unfortunate, what we call a hormonal triangle. You can think of a pyramid or triangle. And at the bottom you have the adrenals and ovaries, and at the top you have the thyroid. And so as your ovaries start to go into a relative decline, as they should when you finished your reproductive life, your brain, which communicates with all of these things, starts to look down to the adrenals, because it will be down to adrenals to meet the demand. You still need estrogen, you still need progesterone after your menopause, after you finish your cycling years, you still need these things. And you still need cortisol to live. So the brain looks down and goes, the next thing, if your adrenals are shot to pieces, if your adrenals shot to pieces and you lived your life burning candle both ends, then if your ovaries go down, adrenals go down, the next one down the chain is the thyroid. The pyramid has no base, so everything starts to collapse. But also what the body does, because the body is clever like that, the body is always working in your favor, always, it's built for survival. It starts to go, well, where else can we get these hormones? What else can make them? And guess what? Your fat cells can make them. And so the body goes, hey, we're going to just put the mid-tire here, midriff, like usually, you know, go through menopause and you suddenly gain these, I don't know, 10 pounds to a stone, and it's in the middle, you know, around the abdomen, maybe a little bit around your thighs, and you can't shift them no matter what you do, and that is why. And so again, this importance of looking after what your adrenals are doing, aka what your, you know, do you sleep well, do you rest adequately, and also how much stress do you have, so reducing that stress response. So I hope I'm making sense. Wave if you feel like I'm talking to I'm okay, you keeping up. Keeping up, okay. So so this is Heather. So Heather released 18 pounds in 6 weeks. Heather is actually, so Heather's 46 and she's actually a colleague. So she is a nutritional therapist. And 6 weeks later, I used to feel like such a fraud, did this strict autoimmune paleo diet for years. It worked well for a while, but I was still far from my best health. And I was relatively healthy as an eater before now. What a transformation. So one of the main things for Heather was the fibroids and terrible cycles, heavy bleeding, and acne. So she was saying, I also have not had any acne. You can't actually see her scars because I removed her face, facial hair, and have had 2 symptom-free menstrual cycles. Okay, I'll stop gushing. So as soon as you balance hormones by just balancing your cortisol and insulin, you can balance other hormones, and it becomes obvious in the transformation you go through. Number 3, flying through them, joyful movement. So do you still believe that in order to lose weight you need to exercise more? Honestly, you can nod. No, but you can still nod. Like, it's such an embedded thing, you know, it's such deeply engraved thing. When I went through my own program, the hardest thing for me was this: the no exercise. I discourage any kind of exercise in the release phase. So any kind of heavy exercise, I go no exercise. People think I'm crazy. We don't do exercise for this reason, because heavy duty exercise is stress. It puts you in a fight or flight response. There are devices, I don't use them because I'm not a fitness expert and I'm not a personal trainer, but there are devices that will track whether you're training within your green range. What is a green range for you? So before your body gets pushed into a stress response, okay? And I would say all of the heavy cardio people do on the treadmill and whatever else really literally put you in a fight or flight. So if you're trying to release weight, and if you're trying to put yourself into a place where your body starts to think, okay, we don't need to hold on to this anymore, we're not in danger, essentially, we're not in danger, then heavy duty exercise is a no. So it's really that simple. So, you know, what do I suggest? Well, of course, I suggest yoga, but there are different styles of yoga. So people practice yoga in the same way they practice fitness, you know, harder, faster, stronger, smash it, collapse in a heap and call it relaxation, and it ain't. So you have to be careful with what you're actually practicing. But my suggestion is very simple: walk in nature. Walk in nature. Yeah, or dance. Dancing is brilliant. What I also suggest is make your exercise as part of your morning routine. So I'm gonna ask Chris now to attach a PDF file. So I have a PDF file that gives you a suggestion. It gives you this, I think it's like 25-30 minute morning routine that you can incorporate specifically for weight loss. And if not, you'll receive it in an email. I'll send you a follow-up email with the recording of this. So you can actually, hopefully, you can make your own morning routine, but that you can incorporate joyful movement, something that, you know, imagine you're a kid. When you were a kid, what did you enjoy doing, right? And it's also to do with how you feel, right? So if you feel good, your body is not feeling in danger anymore. So there is no need to hold on to the weight you're trying to lose. Seems obvious, but again, so hopefully Chris will get you a document. You're welcome to download that and you're welcome to use it done. So he's nodding, he said it's done. So it should be in your chat somewhere. Okay, so another client of mine, Jacqueline, so 17 pounds in 4 weeks. She is a mom of 4. So a mom of 4 working full-time, and at the time she was doing this, she was trying to set up her own business. And you can imagine this lady doesn't have time to exercise. She gets enough on her plate. And so this is just to show you the wins of possibilities. Again, going back to that, I don't believe this, right? It's possible. These are real people. She's 39. Two of her kids, just reading my notes, 2 of her kids are under 5. So, and so the youngest child was 2.5 when she was doing this. And what I was going to say also reference hormones. You know, often women postpartum, so you experience hormonal imbalance and then you never go back to that. What everybody thinks is normal, you know, it's like, this is it, it's never going to change. And actually it can, just a few tweaks. Okay, so loving awareness is number 4. I'm just going to ask you to do something quickly. I know time is kind of passing. I just want to try and do something just as to shift a gear a little bit. So you're welcome to turn your screen off if you want. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes. So it's a really simple, quick meditation practice. Okay, so you can turn your screen off if you want, just to give you more privacy. Okay, and just sit upright, close your eyes, and just take a few gentle breaths. So just check in how you are. You can even ask yourself, how are you? And notice the tone of voice in which you're asking. And then just take your mind, if you can, to a moment when you felt immense gratitude. Maybe it's a moment of accomplishment. Maybe it's a happy memory. Or just a moment of great joy. And visualize it as if it was happening right now. So what do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? Or what does it feel like in your body? And as you feel it, try to feel it with every cell of your body, like it's permeating your entire body. And imagine seeing a younger version of yourself. So you're looking into your own, or your younger self's eyes. And you can feel a beam of light, a connection from your heart to your heart. So you're giving gratitude to them, you know, this joyous feeling, and also receiving it. Maybe something's coming up for you. What do you feel? And so embrace yourself. Give yourself a big hug and say thank you. Thank you for ups and downs. Thank you for life lessons. Thank you for the journey. Thank you for being you. Thank you for not giving up. Now say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for letting you down. I'm sorry for making mistakes. I'm sorry for hurting myself and others. I'm sorry. And now say, I forgive you. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We can let things go. I don't need to hold on to this pain any longer. I forgive you fully and completely. Let's move forwards. And you can finally tell yourself, I love you. I love you for being you. I love you for who you are. I love you for all your gifts, your qualities, and your imperfections. You're special and unique. I love you. So just take a few breaths like this, breathing in and out. I love you. And then slowly open your eyes. And if you want to, you can turn your screen back on. And if you feel like it, so there's no pressure, but maybe you'd want to share how that was for you. No takers for sharing. Well, that's okay. Calming, amazing how quickly my state can change. Exactly. So it's that the feeling of the emotion of gratitude, compassion, love, especially self-love, changes how your body functions. And it's not just it's not just something that we say. So when I was talking about the vagus nerve, so the vagus nerve, that's your nervous system connection to the rest of your body. It's the rest and digest function, right? Your connection of the vagus nerve, your vagus nerve connects to your heart. It's got these little tendrils around your heart, but they will actually mostly go one way, from the heart to your nervous system. So 85% of your vagus nerve connections to your heart go back to the nervous system. It's a one-way system. So your heart speaks to your nervous system more so than your nervous system speaks to your heart. So these shifts in how you feel, they are not just this thing, the nice thing to say. And again, it may trigger that response, oh, I don't believe it. I don't believe that this may help me to change how my body functions, but it literally does. And so, need to change screens again. Here we go. So, some of the things, maybe the slide is a little bit backwards, but like willpower, when it comes to change, when it comes to transformation that we want with our bodies, really doesn't really work. Consistency does, but it's not just pure willpower. You want to do things because you care for you, right? And so one of the things that stuck with me that my mentor said, you're going to wonder how you're going to do it until you're wondering how you did it. And so, all of the change is scary. All of the things that are asked of us to be done differently, especially when it comes to changing your lifestyle. Yeah, like me saying, oftentimes I start talking to people about stress. I have a client right now, and, it just doesn't even register because it's like one of those things, I'm not prepared to change. Oh my God, it's scary. What if I change? One of the biggest compliments for me from my clients is not the change in that diet, is the change in that job. It's kind of like, I say it really lightheartedly, tongue-in-cheek. There are a few people that I worked with, had the privilege to help, who literally changed their jobs because of what they did, because of what they, and me also actually, changing things, the way things are for me, because of what was happening in my system that wasn't working. And then this conceive, believe, I think conceive, believe, receive was Napoleon Hill original statement, and my mentor added become. So conceive, believe, become, and then you can receive. So it means that you also have to act. So you can dream, and then you have to believe that it's possible, and then actually take action to make some change. And then it's super simple. And then wherever your attention, whatever you give your attention, that's where energy goes. It's really simple. So your attention and energy are the biggest types of currency available to you. And so whatever you focus and think about expands. So these are just kind of snippets of the importance of the mindset. Not just willpower, so if you are not ready for change, the willpower is really not going to help. But remember that you're going to wonder how you're going to do it until you're wondering how you did it. That's my mantra. You will always wonder. You always wonder, how the hell am I going to do it? And then you did it. So this guy is my hero. I invited him on the call tonight, but he's terrified of public appearances of any kind, even small groups. So Adam's 43. Dad of 2 kids, in a full-time job, and suffered early childhood trauma so badly that when I first met him, he could not speak to me. So he couldn't look at me, he couldn't speak to me. His wife brought him to me. I worked with his wife as well. And this guy turned his life around. He was on 2 or 3, I think, antipsychotic medications. It's not just thanks to me. In fact, it's not thanks to me at all. All of the change that happens for people, it happens because they decide, they change how they think, how they see, and how they want things to be. And that's really my point, the point I'm trying to make here. So this guy completely turned his life around. He released 15 pounds in the first 3 weeks. He was doing this because his wife was doing it. That's the only reason he did it. And I actually checked by the end of 6 weeks, because people start sending me photos of scales, not their own photos. And he actually lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks. So he's just done a cycling, whatever it is, there's some kind of a cycling thing going on. And he's happy, he's perfectly verbal, and he's done a lot of trauma healing for himself. And just absolutely amazing. So that's just more of an example. Not everybody wants to come forwards and speak publicly. I wish I could bring him to speak, but here we are. So amazing transformation just from change of how somebody sees and thinks. And a lot of our set belief systems are they're formed by the time we're 8, so between 0 and 8. So some of it is even unconscious. So, the other invitation to consider on your journey, unconventional journey of weight loss is, like, what else can be sitting there that you're not even seeing? What kind of belief structures are in place? And 5, nutrient density and eating window. So compressing your eating window, also known as intermittent fasting. How many of you heard of, I think everybody heard of intermittent fasting by now. Yeah, everybody's nodding. Yeah, anybody tried intermittent fasting? You can kind of, yeah. No? Okay, some yes, some no. And any luck for anybody? Yeah, yeah, okay. So, I think actually what's interesting, I have, so the latest client I'm working with, she's been doing intermittent fasting before she came, saying that, I can't lose any weight. Nothing's budging at all. And it's only when you start to do other things that it actually starts to work. But intermittent fasting obviously received a lot of attention. Most people can manage 12-13 hours. And then the famous one is 8-16, I think. Then there are, you can do this 4 times a week. There are variations upon a theme with intermittent fasting. And what I had to say about intermittent fasting, I'm going to have to jump a slide, I think. So let's see. Is this. So most people can easily do 12-12 or 12, like 11-13 doesn't sound right. Yeah, 11-13. What happens often is if your blood sugar, so intermittent fasting, ironically, it can help you balance your blood sugar. But if your blood sugar is out of whack completely and you're under a lot of stress, you actually can stress the body even more when going for things like 8-16. So everybody jumps to 16 hours of fasting and then eating in an 8-hour window. So what I would suggest is starting really slowly. So you do your 12-12 or 11-13, and if you're not sure about your blood sugars, actually investing in a continual glucose monitor, so CGM. The one I have here is a Freestyle Libre 2. In the UK, diabetics, type 1 diabetics, have them for free on the NHS. You can find one that you can buy one. They're about £67 the last 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks you can actually easily assess what the food that you are eating doing to your body in terms of blood sugar. You can wear it for 2 weeks. It can be really insightful, and then you can introduce your fasting regimens based on that. So, as I said before, if you get hangry or shaky between meals, then that's an indication that you may want to do it. Do consult your GP, obviously, if you're diabetic or think you're diabetic. So somebody has to monitor this. If not the glucose monitor, somebody else has to do it. But benefits of intermittent fasting go beyond, obviously, weight loss. So it's detoxification, autophagy, so the self-eating, so your cells have to die and be replaced. It's actually disruption in autophagy, so the cells dying, that is one of the ways cancer develops. So weight loss, it's just a sideway gain. Reduced insulin resistance, if you do it right, if you do intermittent fasting right, then you get you're more sensitive to insulin, which means you don't deposit weight no matter what you eat. Improved gut health. Everybody seems to want better gut health these days. Every other client asks me what I think about probiotics. What I think about probiotics is very simple. They are just a tool. So like a hammer is a good tool for a nail and a bad tool for a screw. The same way with probiotics, it depends how you apply them. So probiotics are like seeds that you put in the soil. You can't put seeds in the desert and hope for something to grow. So you really optimizing gut health doesn't just come down to probiotics. You really want to give your gut a break. Your gut will process something like 170,000 pounds of food in your lifetime. So imagine how much that is. I can't imagine how much that is. It's just like something that I'm reciting. 170,000 pounds of food. Yeah. So you need to give it a break. And the little guys that live in your gut, of whom you have more than of your own DNA, the bacteria, the microbes, the biome, they have a chance to balance out. And your gut is directly connected to your brain. In fact, we now know brain speaks to your gut more so than the other way around. So optimized brain function is benefit of intermittent fasting. And then optimized cardiovascular function, of course, increased energy, and extra benefit of stem cell production. So you can self-repair. So the key the kind of key point is that if you've never tried it, start slowly. If you have tried it, consider starting 12-12 and then gradually going down and working on the other things like, balancing your blood sugar levels and reducing your stress at the same time, and see what happens. Okay. And so I do have Justin lost 32 pounds. So Justin is the husband of Jacqueline. I think you can kind of see, because that's what the design of things people send me of their photos arranged. So down 32 pounds in only 6 weeks. The biggest thing is he came off his blood pressure medication. I don't take people off medication. That's not what I advocate, and I definitely don't promote any kind of program that takes people off blood pressure meds or any kind of meds. The point I'm trying to make mostly is that in many cases you need skills rather than pills, and if you have the right skills, then you know, you're your own doctor. So I'm nearly the end. So community is king. Community is king. And again, you say this and people generally respond in a, yeah, I know it. But the research shows that if you have a supportive community, then you lose weight. This is one of the key features of what I try to do with clients and groups. And it's also about accountability. So it's not just about somebody coaching and checking in with you, but accountability because you're doing it with other people. So a lot of my clients work in pairs, so they're couples, they join and do a program together. And so how many of you can say you have a supportive environment? I mean, you don't have to answer, right? So you can consider, do you have a supportive environment for you to actually shift where you're at? And something that stuck with me as well, and I've done things when I was accountable and when I wasn't accountable, and I can tell you that makes a huge difference. I am a very independent person. I like to work on my own, I usually kind of like, yeah, community, oh, no, no thanks. But actually, the way that people help you, even in the ways, even when you're not interacting with them, is immense. Sometimes somebody can say something and it sticks with you. And so whether it's a coach, a mentor, or somebody in a group who's doing the same thing, they can make a huge difference. They will make a huge difference. And really, your health, how you are, is the base, is the foundation of everything else in your life, and it's the ceiling of everything else in your life. So if your health is at 50%, everything else will be at 50%. Or again, my mentor would say that a branch of a tree cannot outgrow the trunk. It will split if it tries. So the trunk is, you, and then everything you do is a branch. So it's that shift. So you're doing something like this again, weight is energy, is stored energy, stored potential. So you shifting it is shifting the whole worldview and bringing yourself into a different kind of version of yourself, 2.0 of you. You can't build a 2.0 business or family or anything with a 1.0 version of you. So people around you matter. You take on board other people's stuff. So it's something to consider. Do people around you support you? Do they help you? Do they encourage you? And where can you find that support otherwise? Okay. And finally, rest and recovery. So I could write a book about this one. I have written a manual on this. I teach yin and restorative training courses. And so, for me, this is like the thing. So just because it's last, it doesn't mean it's least. And rest and recovery, primarily really sleep. Your body rests and recovers, not just in sleep, but also and especially during sleep. For me, when I started really looking into my own health, I was shocked to learn that my deep sleep was almost non-existent. Just like my HRV was on the floor. I was teaching yoga, I thought I was doing well, and I was sort of doing well, but my body was telling me otherwise. And so this is the diagram of how the sleep-waking cycle works with cortisol. Again, the cortisol is in red. What you see there in red, so in the morning there's a spike, the cortisol awakening response, and it sort of goes up and then it goes into decline after midday. And then it goes downhill, so you can wind down, and melatonin goes up. So melatonin is in blue, and melatonin is a major hormone for immune function. So especially recently, with the whole COVID thing, melatonin came to the fore. So getting that it's not just how long you sleep, because people say to me, no, well, I get good 8 hours, but they go to bed at like at 2 p.m. Oh, sorry, 2 a.m., not 2 p.m. Yeah. And granted, sometimes it's unavoidable. So been there, done that with, a kid not sleeping at night, etc. But you should really be in bed by about 10 p.m. the latest, 10:30. So between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. you have the highest production of melatonin and human growth hormone. So these two are essential for all of the repair. So it's just like physical repair. And then you go through psychological repairs, so the time for REM sleep later on in the night. So getting a good time, that recovery time is essential. Again, any inflammation will only increase if you're not sleeping, right? If you want to decrease inflammation, you need to sleep well. And so the other thing that maybe you know this, maybe you don't. So sleep and sleep and your appetite are connected. So when you have enough sleep, you have high levels of leptin, so you feel satisfied after eating. Leptin is a hormone of satiation, and low ghrelin. So ghrelin is what makes you hungry. And the reverse, if you don't get enough sleep. So what's not enough sleep? Anything, on average, we say anything less than 6-7 hours of sleep. I think it will vary from person to person. So, as I said, you can literally sleep and lose weight or help yourself lose weight. In fact, I'd rather people slept more than exercised more. But also quality of sleep. You have to consider quality of sleep. So where else did I read? There was a published, I'm sure in PubMed you'll find tons of research on less than 7 hours of sleep and insulin resistance. So you become insulin resistant to the level of pre-diabetic if you're not sleeping well. So that's another thing. So again, what I use to track my sleep is Oura Ring. Again, there are other wearables that would measure it, but what you don't know, you don't know. That's the best sleep tracking tool. In terms of practical, so this is something that, this is a gadget. I use this gadget. I've been using this gadget for 4 years. It's completely changed how I am, because it tells me I'm honest. I can't lie to myself anymore that it's okay, I feel okay. It tells me exactly when I don't sleep because I've done something, right? And I know exactly what I've done that affected my my sleep, my readiness score, etc. My HRV, my poor HRV. But in terms of practical advice, right? So rest and recovery are essential. Like, people come and they go, oh, I can do this, but I can't do that. I'm like, that's not a negotiable thing. Like, for your body, it's not a negotiable thing. Nobody really wants to do it. Nobody takes it seriously, but it's not negotiable thing for your body. So be in bed ready to sleep by 10:30. Remove or reduce screen time 2 hours before sleep. You heard that before, I'm sure. You heard that before. How many of you actually do it? Oh, okay, Sarah's doing it. Anybody else? No. Sleep in complete darkness. So that's melatonin production depends on darkness. If you're in a room if you put a hand in front of your face and you can still see it, it's not dark enough. So you need to be in a room where it's so dark that you can't see your own hand. If you can't sleep in a room that dark, wear an eye mask. Remove Wi-Fi from the bedroom. I think that's also quite obvious. Everybody heard that. Tape your mouth. How many people tape mouth when they sleep? Yeah, 1, 2, no. So you literally take a surgical tape. It's the one that peels easily. You get it in Boots, and you can put one strip across. So you stop breathing through your mouth, and it improves the quality of your deep sleep. So it doesn't wake you up. It also wakes you up less, so you don't go to the toilet. When you breathe through the mouth, you produce more vasopressin, and so your kidneys pump out water. So if you wake up in the night to pee a lot, consider taping your mouth so it doesn't wake you up. The other thing is obviously snoring. It's really good if you got partners who wake you up because they snore. This is for them. You tape their mouths as well as yours. And the other benefit is nitric oxide. So in nitric oxide production, when you breathe through your nose with tape mouth throughout the night, nitric oxide is, well, gained a lot of traction recently as a massive antiviral. So if you want to stay healthier, I guess, to an extent, nitric oxide is the thing. Remove overhead lights 3 hours before bedtime. The only time your body knows you have receptors to light in your skin even. Yeah, you have them. So the light can penetrate your body. I think it's like something ridiculous, like almost an inch. So, you know, if you're sitting under a light and the skin is exposed to light, whether it's blue light or sunlight, any kind of light, you have photoreceptors that read it. So overhead light, however, is body reading it as a, when do you ever have overhead light? Is when the sun is, you know, midday, around that time. Yeah, morning maybe. So your body reads it as daytime. So it sounds silly, but your body literally doesn't know anymore. And the only time your body has seasons, just like seasons in nature. So, you know, if your body doesn't know, is it summer? Is it winter? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? It doesn't know. And its entire workings are set to that tune. So remove overhead lights 3 hours before bedtime. If you can't do that, you can change your light bulbs from blue, you know, fluorescent, to warmer, even red. You can get red lights nowadays, or you can use candles, you can use salt lamps, and include restorative Indian yoga into your routine. That's my personal favorite. So yeah, that would be the practical tools. Again, how many use all of these things? If you don't, this is for you. Please do. So just a quick summary. I put the plant there because, you know, you can't negotiate with nature. So you can't give a plant more water to compensate for lack of sunlight. People will say, you know, oh, can I do more of this but not do that? I'm like, can you give your plant more water instead of sun? I think you know the answer. So this is a summary of the 7 pillars. Put your nervous system in rest and repair state so you can release weight more easily. If you've been doing something already for weight loss and it worked for you, put your nervous system in rest and repair for most of the day. That's the caveat. So you need to be in that state for most of the day to help you release weight. Balance hormones, so lifestyle. So again, that's your sleep, that's your rest, and that's also exposure to anything that mimics hormones. So, you know, cosmetics, body products, again, that's, people are more aware of that these days, right? Joyful movement. So move your body in ways that facilitates weight loss, i.e. does not stress you out. If you hate doing it, don't do it. That's really that simple. Be consistent. But so if you're persistent, you will get it. If you're consistent, you will keep it. That's kind of the saying. So consistency is more important than how pushy or persistent you are. Loving awareness. So have the right mindset. Your mind is a 5D printer. Your mind creates what eventually becomes. So listen to how you speak to yourself at the very least, and listen how you think in terms of, and again, maybe you heard this, but now go and do it. So then it becomes, it's easier for your body to then let go of all that stuff. Eating window, narrow your eating window, and just focus on nutrient density. So remember that food becomes you. It becomes you, literally becomes you. Do you want what you see, what you're about to eat? Yeah. Do you want it to become an integrated part of you? That might make it easier to make your choices as well. Community, surround yourself with a loving community. So maybe it's time to also let go of people who don't support you. No comment there. And rest and recovery, I can't overemphasize that. So sleep deeper to get your hormones balanced. so you can release weight. So fix your sleep, fix everything. And this came to me from one of the participants of the program, and it actually moved me because of what it contains. So this is a 360 body mind spirit program. I started at Weight Watchers at 13. I have only now slayed the dragon of fearing food at 46 after at least 15 different diets. Yes, I've lost weight in the past, but I always gained back and never could figure out how to fix the set point in my 40s. Truthfully, I wasn't convinced it could actually happen till it did. You can't have true sustainable weight loss without all the other pieces. So that's for me a key sentence. You can't have true sustainable weight loss without all the other pieces. Simple. As a side note, the damage it does to an early teen's mind to be at Weight Watchers at 13, I think that was the start of a 33 years of every birthday wish, a New Year's resolution to lose weight. Not get healthy, just lose weight. I never had the chance to wish for anything else for 33 years. That has just dawned on me writing this. So it kind of takes me a little bit to the mindset part and the language people use, and especially my I do have a problem with Weight Watchers, not only because of how you made to think about food, but also the words in the psychology around what it is to be alive. You know, that how there is the sinning and the punishing, and not just the calorie counting. I don't have a huge problem with calorie counting part, really, but this lady put it spot on. So kind of sad but kind of joyous. So this person really conveys to you that it's possible. It's putting those pieces nobody really wants to put in place to then lose weight. So this is the 7 pillars there. Do you have any specific questions about those before, if you wanted to? So the time's ticking. I only got to cover with you what I have to offer. So it's really the program that I offer. Is anybody interested? First of all, yes or no? You can say yes or you can say no at the bottom. Silence. Steph, Kelda, love to hear more. Okay, so you can always tune out before the questions if it's not of interest to you. So Integrative Health Reset Program. I need to go back to the screen again. Oops. No, it doesn't want to go. Why? There we go. So a comprehensive personal transformation program that will help you lose weight, increase energy, sleep deeper, and balance your hormones. So with the same 7 pillar approach to weight loss, so all of these are incorporated, and the food aspect of it also, which I didn't talk about because everybody talks about food. Food is incorporated, but with all of these pieces. And so it's a 10-week virtual, so it's all online. I see it as a personal transformation program. You will lose weight if you follow the program, and you will keep it off, guaranteed. So, but it's not for everybody. This is why I asked, is anybody actually interested? Because it's really for people who are prepared to do the things, not just wish for them. So it results in mental, biological, and physical change, and it does. Safe, rapid, permanent results, and really primarily for me also amazing, addresses and corrects the underlying causes of chronic disease, which are all of those pillars really that I've mentioned, and enables you to be in charge of your own health. So again, it's something that a skill or skills, set of skills, right? So you have the manual. Let's go there. So step-by-step guidance. So this is the manual, Integrative Health Reset Manual, how to implement the program, the recipe book. It actually, so everybody has a meal plan somehow. With every program there'll be a meal plan, and then you know how to cook this and how to use this. There's a very simple principles in how you can compose your meal, so, or meals in general, which then sets you free. You can be anywhere and know how to put food together so it works for you, like to actually lose weight. So you're not dependent on recipes, but recipes are there to, if you're not, you know, if you're like, I don't cook, great. Part of the program is intermittent fasting, so you have no breakfast, so you don't have to cook, and then you cook one meal a day, so it's your dinner, and then your dinner becomes your lunch the following day. So you know, really easy, super easy. So sort of in terms of the food part. And there is accountability journal, 10 weeks online course also. So there are 10 modules which teach you about every subject in the program. So it's actionable, it's related to lifestyle, it transforms your life, to obviously helps you lose weight, and improve all other things that I've mentioned. I'm trying to speak so fast I can't outrun myself, not to steal any more time from you. And then for me, another very important feature is you never fall off the wagon, because you have direct access to messaging me anytime. You have a client portal in the software that I use, Practice Better, so you can ask questions, give updates, etc., etc. The daily check-ins, you can keep your diaries there. And you also get the heart math device, so you get to use the heart math during the program. And the typical 4-week timeline is week 1, most people start to release. So the first 10 pounds are the easiest to lose. The last 10 are always a little trickier. And weeks, 6 weeks of release, so 6 weeks of releasing weight, and then 4 weeks of maintenance, so you don't go back to your habits too quickly. It's a given, so it's assumed that you you are bound to go back to what you used to. And so the 4 weeks are really teaching you, learning how to self-correct, because the maintenance phase is the rest of your life. So but in week 1, you know, that's what keeps people going. So you start losing weight, and then by week 2 you have looser fitting clothes, and then by week 3, 4, you know, the weight loss generally continues. Because you have 345 one-to-one sessions with me, so personalized, so we go over things that are personal to you, not just a general program. If there are any other things to address, again, my goal is not to use anything else other than these tools: lifestyle and teaching you how to eat, sleep, breathe, and be. But if you need anything else, obviously that advice can be given. And so 10 weeks and all of that is a 695. And I know sometimes people, it varies actually, the responses vary from people. For the time and the energy invested in this, it's actually a great value, in my opinion. So you have lifetime access to all of the resources, so you can go and do the program over and over and over and over again. The sign up, I'm opening the sign up for the next 10 days. We are starting in September, beginning of September, so around 7th of September, might be a little bit later depending on the sign up. And that's just a rerun. So, you know, sometimes people say, well, it's not the right time, I don't live near you, and then ask me questions about, can a vegetarian or vegan do this program? I think with time thing, you know, we all have the same amount of time every day, no matter what we do, whether we use it or don't use it. Of course, it has to be right for you, so I'm looking for people who really want to change. There's no point in me trying to convince you to change if you're not ready to change. It's absolutely fine. Take the free stuff. Take the morning routine, Take what I've just told you that you didn't know, go apply it, go use it, yeah, go do it. I think you should. If you don't live near me, that's fine. You know, it's all virtual, perfectly accessible. And vegetarians can be on the program. It works slightly differently for vegans. So if you're vegan, if you're 100% vegan, the results are less obvious. And that's to do with the amount. So it's sourcing pure type of protein is harder. It's not impossible, but slightly different results. So I can't, you know, it depends on how much you need to lose. So it can be done on individual, that assessment can be done on individual basis. And that's it really. So if you have any questions and if you still have time for me, can you please ask them? So the link to sign up, if you decided to, I think Chris shared the link in the chat. That's the link. There is a link on my website, but it's a different link. It's a link for the new price program. So that's the link that you've got if you're interested. It will come to you also in the follow-up email if you're interested. So questions, Q&As, if you have time, fire away. You can unmute yourself and ask a question. It might be easier.
So pleased you said that.
Yeah, please don't type. Yeah.
So I'm really interested in the kind of the resetting my metabolism, balancing my hormones, less about the weights. Although that, I guess that's another bonus. What is the program?
Yes. The short answer is yes. So anybody can do the program. Is the release phase is different. So you don't spend 6 weeks on the release. So you stop at the point where you feel okay. That's that's optimal. Everybody. So what? We joke about this. So everybody wants to lose 5 pounds. You know, there's always somebody who wants like extra 5 pounds off. So I was on the, so as I said, I did the program too. So, you know, I always run what I offer. So I did the program and I did maybe I think 2 or 3 weeks of the release phase and of huge benefits. So the benefit that you get is essentially you reducing inflammation, your sleep improves, your energy improves, so much shifts. So it's not just about weight. So there's a slightly different way you can adjust how you work with the release and maintenance phase. It's more the other skills that you learn. So everything else that you learn as an edit thing to that changes. And also, you know, the time scale. So, you know, if you do it as part of a group, it's a completely different experience also. So in terms of how you stick to the process for the duration of the time, that's what changes and transforms, obviously, and what you do. So it's not just about food, but food is important for those who do want to lose weight. It becomes important in a sense during those 6 weeks of release, in terms of how I teach you how to think and eat and so on. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, thank you. There was so much interesting information in your talk. Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry, I hope I didn't kind of go blah, 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 blah. It felt a bit like I was on speed. A bit on speed. So any more questions? Well, I think maybe I did well, so there are no questions. So as I said, download your morning routine. Read the morning routine. Try to apply at least some of the points from the morning routine. Anything of use that you found in my presentation, take it on board and use it. So go and use it. Go and use it and get back to me and share how it's going with the weight loss and if anything's changed. Okay? All right, so any more? Oh, I see the chat box got 2 things. Let's see. SJ, thank you. Thanks, Steph. Okay, so I think it's time to go. So thank you, Hattie, Harriet. Sorry, I just called you Hattie. That was my choice. Thank you. Okay, well, great. So great to see you all. Thank you for giving your time on Sunday. Really sunny, and you're giving your time, so it's really appreciated. To be continued, as always. So all the best.